Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the course Fluid Mechanics and Heat Transport. My name is Konrad Böttcher, and I will perform this course with my colleague Michael Fischer. So at the beginning, I will talk about the learning objectives, the structure of the course, our instructional setup, so the gamification and the exam form. So at first, the superordinate learning objectives are that you will be able, after the course, to recognize fluid mechanical parts of typical processes, process engineering problems in other courses or literature without fear, identify, evaluate, and analyze the physical approaches to these problems, create engineering-like physical mathematical approaches to fluid mechanical problems and observations in limited time. So you see that's for the exam, and use them to model and apply the problems to other problems. And after that, so even greater objective that we have, conceptualize theoretical approaches and apply them to process engineering problems or observations in daily life. So that means just to transfer the gibberish from lecture to problems and not just assemble solutions or part of solutions from problems that we are dealing with in the exercise. No learning objectives. So that is at least as important as what are no learning objectives. So no learning objectives are that you are able to solve the equations nicely, that you frame equations, that you panic at the sight of those and solve tasks under the greatest possible stress. So that is not what we intend to do. So, and therefore, of course, we have a certain structure for the course. So, of course, the given structure is that we have a lecture, an exercise, and a laboratory experiment. But we will use blended learning for each topic. That is because we know that some of you have a certain knowledge in several topics, and we have to bring all of you to the same level of fluid mechanics and heat transfer, or to the same basic level. Of course, you can have a better level. Okay, so and now we will do it the following. So it should not be boring for all of you if we are dealing with stuff that 90% of you already know. Therefore, we produce theoretical basics and the form of videos so you can self-directed learn the content. Then we will solve a real-world problem also that you can see in the video. You can do that. You can learn that self-directed. And yeah, so you can skip it if you think that you already know everything. Um, and we also have a e-learning platform. It is linked from the Moodle space. And then, yeah, because it is blended learning and not just distance learning. Now we have the on-site stuff. So at the end of each topic, we will meet on site, and then you can ask us questions, and then we will ask you questions, of course, and we'll discuss the questions. And then we will give you a problem, and you have to solve this unknown problem, and we will assist you in solving it. So now to reduce the stress, so our anti-stress approach is the gamification. So you know maybe that the exam FMHT has we have around about 120 points in total. You need 45 points to pass the exam. And with this gamification approach that I talk about in a few seconds, you will get 22 additional points. And how to get those additional points? So that's quite simple. In our on-site meetings, we will ask you some basic questions, and you have the chance to answer those questions using our Moodle space. The questions are about theory and a real-world problem in the video you learned before, and you have to solve those questions alone, of course, and only on site. And after that, we will discuss some more complex issues or give you some questions to more complex issues. And those may be new problems or more complicated questions or whatever. And then we will use the think, pair, share scheme. So that means that firstly, you have to think about the problem alone. Then secondly, you can discuss it in the group or in a group of 2 or 3 persons. And then you have to answer those questions in Moodle, and you have then to discuss on site on the plenum what you think was the correct solution. Okay, so for the exam, you there is a collection of formulas at the end of the exam, and you do not need an additional collection of formulas, and you're not allowed to do that. But you're allowed to take one book for math with you, but not for physics, and you're not allowed to use any electronic device. Okay, to get the best mark, you need 90% of the total points, and to pass, you need 37.5%. The exam consists of several short questions, about 40 points each. So there is the first task with about 40 points and the second task also with about 40 points. Of course, it can also be that the first task has 30 points and the second one has 50 or 60 if also the short questions have 30 points. But roundabout, all 3 parts have the same weight. Now, of course, corresponding to the learning objectives, you get the points for interpreting problems, applying typical tools, or creating models. So, of course, only if the ansatz for those mathematical and physical models is correct, and if the tools are used correctly. So, not only applying a tool gives you or create a model gives you some points if it doesn't make any sense. You do not get points if you just use simple math. Of course, if you're underlining framing or if you say that I wrote 2 pages, I want 2 points for that. That doesn't make any sense. So if it is not correct or if it doesn't make sense what you wrote, you won't get any point for that. Okay, now for the e-learning platform. Use the e-learning platform. Here you see for several years the percentage of failed students for several exams in fluid mechanics. So you see that after introducing the e-learning platform in 2015, you see the drop of failed students from around about 48 to 31%. So use it, it makes sense. And also here, if you look at the results after introducing gamification, so we only introduced that last year in the fluid mechanics 1 and 2, and you see here in blue are the results before that, so all the old results before using gamification, and you see here that we have a lot of persons failing the exam. And you see also that after introducing the gamification, that is the orange, that are the orange bars, that we get a shift from failed to passed and also to the better marks, as well as gray is the gamification stuff if we add the gamification points. So also without adding the points, the students achieved by the gamification stuff shows you that the students performed better. Therefore, we also want to use the gamification in the fluid mechanics and heat transfer. And yeah, let's look how this works. I wish all of us great fun.